series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja, and today in this segment we are going to analyze the issue with respect to VAT on fuel prices. Why are the prices of fuel so high in our cities? As consumers, we all are getting impacted by it. Our families are getting impacted by it. So even if you're not a UPSC aspirant, you can watch this just for basic understanding. Okay. So from the perspective of the examination, we have to be very careful with this topic with respect to GS mains paper 2 and 3rd. And for prelims, we have the important analysis in the form of facts. So be careful with the facts for prelims and analysis for mains. What is the entire issue? You must be reading the news that relations have turned sour between Maharashtra and the centre with respect to the comment made by the Prime Minister yesterday at a COVID-19 review meet. It was a meeting for COVID-19 reviewing, but the conversation went to the fuel prices which are skyrocketing right now. The centre has said that states such as Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they have not cut the VAT or they have not decreased the value-added tax on fuels and the consumers are at a loss. The centre has said that despite cutting off excise by the centre on petrol and diesel, certain states such as Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, they have not done so. They have not reduced the VAT and hence the people are at a loss, the consumers are at a loss. He also said that he is not criticizing but requesting the states to cut the VAT, to decrease the VAT so that the people and the nation can be at an interest at large. So this is the entire issue. But of course, in this segment, we are not going to analyze the political overtones, but the very basic information about why it is easier said than done when we talk about reducing VAT by the states on fuel prices. So let's begin with the first thing first. Increment in fuel prices has been attributed to many things, such as global crude oil prices. As we all know, because of the Russian-Ukraine war, India is bearing the brunt of it. Not only India, many other countries are bearing the brunt of it because of the distortion in the fuel supply. Countries such as Saudi Arabia, they have outrightly refused to diminish the prices of fuel, and in fact they increase the prices of fuel from which India buys a lot amount. Countries such as Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Nigeria, these all countries play a huge role with respect to oil imports from the perspective of India. And the darker color states, they are increasingly putting VAT or they are putting taxes on the fuel much higher than the lighter colored states. You can see Maharashtra is one of them, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala is also there, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. So these are the certain states, and that is the reason that because there is a distortion with respect to the fuel prices pan India. There is no uniformity because it varies state to state because every state has its own policy with respect to value added or ad valorem tax. So let's see what are the reasons. First is global crude oil prices. There are other internal factors like taxes and dealers' commission. These also impact the price of domestic petrol. Petrol, as I say, fuel is not, the price of it is not uniform in every state. The data is not important. You don't have to remember the data, but you have to see the magnitude of difference. Petrol in Delhi is retailing at 105.41 per litre on Thursday. That was on Thursday. And at Mumbai, it is 120.51. That's a huge difference. Similarly, the rate of diesel is also differential. Rupees 95.87 per litre. And in Maharashtra is 104.77 in the financial capital. That is of course Maharashtra, Mumbai. So one thing that we have to keep in mind, it's not just the petrol or the diesel price. It will have a chain reaction because everything we consume on a daily basis is transported from one area to the other area using transportation which thrives on fuel. So per unit cost of any product which is being transported will also get increased, burning a hole into our pocket. And taxes on fuel, it does not fall under GST. Although if we talk about article of the GST 279 A clause 5, it says that the GST Council will decide the date on which motor spirit, such as petrol only, motor spirit, aviation fuel, those will all come under the GST. And of the GST Act 9 clause 2, it says it of course depends on the entire states, because GST Council is made up of states as well. So they have to come at a proper consensus with respect to putting GST on the fuel, and that will be as high as 28%. Certain states are of the opinion that if we are going to put GST, petrol under GST, it will create a lot of burden of 28% taxation under GST, and if that is not fulfilled, if the revenue of the states and the center is not fulfilled under that, then additional taxes will also be imposed. That will be a problem. Domestic LPG is already under GST and it comes under the bracket of 5%. Moving on, if we talk about another important factors is increase in fuel prices also attribute to the state's rate of fixed tax and ad valorem, that is the share of the commodity will be, the price of the commodity will be taxed according to its share in the market. And there has been a revision, although the oil companies, they revise the prices of oil on a daily basis, but recently because of the elections there was a freeze of record 137 days. It was broken after the elections of Uttar Pradesh and other states. It was concluded. After that, revision was done and the hike was seen. And this hike, of course, is based on many things, such as you see how petrol and diesel prices are provided, how they are come at a conclusion point. Crude oil prices, first, it depends on the global crude oil prices. This is a monopoly of very few oil-rich countries. And the price of crude oil in the international market price is the price paid by the oil marketing companies to oil producers. Okay, so oil marketing companies from India are paying to the market, to the international market for purchasing crude oil. Then it comes to through ocean freight, through the ocean, the oil marketing companies are purchasing it. So transportation freight or ocean freight and transportation charges are added to the petrol, the cost of petrol. Then comes refinery transfer price, and then price which has been charged to the dealers such as ONGC, margins and other expenses of oil marketing companies. These are also taken into account. After that, central excise duty is put by the center, and then dealers commission, which is the amount paid by OMCs to the various dealers of who are dealing in petrol. Then state, after that, state value added tax is given. This depends on state to state. There is a distortion and not a uniformity with respect to putting how much tax should be paid on the state level. And then finally, price to the consumer. So this much of taxation, this much of addition is done, then we finally get petrol in our cars, in our scooters and bikes. So you see that this is the very reason that first we have a very small area where we can cut taxes, central excise duties and then state VAT. Some things are really fixed, we cannot help them. Crude oil prices, then ocean freight, of course it has to be given. Then refinery transfer price has to be given. Price charged to the dealers has to be given. Then central excise duty and state VAT is the only area we can actually work upon. Dealers commission, all this is very important. And that is why the center and the states, these two are the main parties who have to come in consensus with respect to what should be the price charged. And the debate is, of course, the states did not like it. Why? Because the PM statements did not go down well and it quickly became a bone of contention between Maharashtra Chief Minister who said that the center owed rupees 26,500 crore to the state and Maharashtra. It is contributing a lot to the revenue by taxation on petrol and diesel, and it is still getting a stepmotherly treatment by the center. And the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also slammed the Prime Minister, saying that his remarks are false in nature. So you see that there is a tussle. This has become a political tussle. So you see the revenue on fuel. This is something to be read. The center had earned around rupees 8 lakh crore from the taxes levied on petrol and diesel in the last 3 financial years, and out of the total amount, more than rupees 3.71 lakh crore was collected in 2021 itself. Government data collated by Stats of India showed that in 7 states, half of the price of the petrol is collected as tax. First is Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala and Bihar, and this is the picture that the earlier statement was talking about. Moving on, if we talk about the what can be done, very importantly, what is the solution? As bureaucrats, we have to know the solution to the problem, not just keep on beating the problem itself. So first, strategic petroleum reserve. In any times of oil crisis, there are petrol reserves which has been kept by India in order to deal with any sort of crises. Can you tell me in the comment segment in which states or at what locations India has its SPG? Secondly, there should be a national consensus of taxation. It will benefit the country as a whole. It will benefit the states as a whole. That this particular point will have less scope of becoming a bone of contention whenever it comes to political developments. You see one more thing. Why is it very hard to let go of the revenue with respect to fuel? Fuel is something that will be consumed. It is very uniform in nature when we talk about consumption. Consumption of fuel is pretty sustainable, pretty continuous if we compare it to other commodities. So fuel taxation, the revenue with respect to that is very easy to get. Why will any state give up on that? Another thing is that every state has different resources. A state which has huge natural resources can think about diminishing the fuel tax so that they can get revenue from other sources. But a state that is not having the similar situation might just be in a position to tax something such as fuel. That is also a problem. Transition to diverse energy option. Renewable energy such as something based on electric vehicles, such as something like solar energy. We have to work in research and development with respect to renewable energy, driven by, of course, new startups, innovations, incentives, specifically for the states which have huge resources. So there should be a balanced amount of allocation with respect to research and development in renewable energy, and also balanced allocation of how much vehicles should be on the road which consume fuel. So that should be done. That is being done. Moving on, if we talk about the question, just note this question down for practice. What are the challenges that stand in the way of fuel prices rationalization? We have to discuss in 150 words. Okay. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.